Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another marvelous video. Back in the early 2000s, action movies were kinda in a weird place. CGI was creeping in, fight scenes were getting flashier, but somehow softer, and everything felt just a little too choreographed. And then, out of Thailand came this absolutely amazing film, a spiritual successor to the gritty martial arts classics, but with a style and intensity that was all its own. And at the center of it all was a man named Tony Jaa, who did his own stunts. If you haven't guessed what we'll be looking at in this video, well, it's the Ong Bak franchise. Today, we're going to be diving into the entire lore of Ong Bak, so sit back and enjoy as we dive on in. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Ong Bak, Muay Thai Warrior. 2003, the film that started everything off. In 2003, out of nowhere came a little Thai film onto the action scene. Ong Bak, Muay Thai Warrior wasn't just another martial arts flick. The plot, honestly, is a simple one, but that's part of its charm. In a small rural village in northeastern Thailand called Ban Nong Pradu, life is simple, spiritual, and deeply rooted in tradition. The villagers pray to Ong Bak, a centuries-old Buddha statue that they believe protects their land. But one night, disaster strikes. The statue is desecrated and its head is stolen. The villagers are devastated. In their belief system, this isn't just theft, it's a spiritual attack, a curse waiting to happen. Enter Ting, played by Tony Jaa, a quiet, humble young man raised in the village. Ting has been trained in the ancient martial art of Muay Thai by the village's former master, but under strict instructions to never use it for violence or personal gain. He is calm, disciplined, and devout. But when the village elders plead for someone to retrieve Ong Bak's head, Ting steps forward, determined to bring it home. With a satchel of donations from the village, he heads to Bangkok, following the only clue they have, a shady outsider named Don who tried to buy a rare amulet the day before the theft. His journey takes him to Bangkok, where he reconnects with his cousin, Humle, though he now goes by George, complete with bleached hair and a new street-smart attitude. George makes a living hustling street racers and conning yaba dealers with his partner in crime, Muay Lek. At first, George wants nothing to do with Ting or his holy mission. In fact, he straight up steals Ting's money and gambles it at an underground bar on Kosan Road. Ting tracks George down at the bar and shocks the whole place by knocking out the reigning champ with a single kick. Suddenly, everyone knows who this guy is, including a creepy crime boss named Kam Tuan. He's an old wheelchair-bound trafficker who kinda speaks with a robotic voice. Turns out Don, yeah, the same Don that Ting has been tracking, stole the statue head to sell it to Kam Tuan. But Kam Tuan says it's worthless and tells Don to toss it. As all this unfolds, Humle and Muay Lek get into trouble of their own. After running a scam at an illegal street gambling ring, they're chased all across Bangkok by an angry drug dealer and his crew. Ting naturally steps in and takes down half the gang with ease. In exchange, Humle finally agrees to help him find Don. Their hunt leads them right back to the bar, where Ting enters a brutal underground fight tournament. And we mean brutal. He takes down 3 opponents in a row, earning the respect and fear of everyone watching. Eventually, they find Don's hideout, and what follows is one of the wildest chase scenes you'll ever see. This tuk-tuk chase isn't just action-packed, it's straight-up chaos, with rickshaws flipping over, motorcycles flying, and Tony Jaa doing parkour like it's second nature. It's honestly an iconic scene in this film. The chase ends at the Chao Phraya River, where Ting discovers Kam Tuan's personal stash of stolen Buddha relics dumped into the water like trash. The local authorities recover the artifacts, but Kam Tuan is furious. He kidnaps Muay Lek and gives Humle an ultimatum: have Ting fight his bodyguard Saming near the Thai-Burmese border, or never see the Ong Bak head or Muay Lek again. So Ting agrees, but it turns out to be a trap. Saming has been pumped full of drugs, and Ting is ordered to throw the fight. Humle has no choice but to throw in the towel, but Kam Tuan goes back on his word. He keeps Muay Lek hostage and orders his men to kill all 3 of them. Obviously, that doesn't go as planned. Ting and Humle fight their way out and track Kam Tuan to a remote cave where his crew is literally decapitating a giant Buddha statue. It's basically a spiritual massacre. Ting takes down the remaining thugs and eventually Saming, but Kam Tuan shoots him in the shoulder. Just as Kam Tuan is about to destroy Ong Bak's head with a sledgehammer, Humle leaps in, shielding it with his body, taking the hit meant for the sacred statue. And then, in one of the film's most unforgettable moments, the brutal warehouse finale, a massive stone Buddha head falls from above and crushes Kam Tuan on the spot, ending him in the most poetic way possible. Pretty cool, right? In his final moments, Humle gives Ting the Ong Bak head and asks for one last favor: to take care of Muay Lek and make sure she finishes college. With that, Ting returns to Ban Nong Pradu. The head of Ong Bak is restored, the village is whole again, and Hum Le, who was once a lost city hustler, comes home a hero. A monk carries his ashes on the back of an elephant as the entire village honors his sacrifice and celebrates the return of the head. There is also an alternative ending for this film in some DVD releases, which shows Hum Le still alive. In the end, we see him banged up with a broken arm and a limp, standing with the support of his parents. Now, let's talk about why Ong Bak changed the game. Before this film dropped, most martial arts movies were heading in one of two directions, either super stylized with CGI and wires, or gritty but heavily choreographed. Ong Bak looked at all that and said, we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. Every stunt you see in that movie, well, Tony Jaa is actually doing it. No wires, no CGI, no stunt doubles. When he flips over flaming obstacles or slides under a truck moving at full speed, that's real. It's not just a visual trick, and that alone gives this film an energy that just couldn't be faked. What makes Ong Bak stand out is how it shows its action. It leans all the way into Jaa's incredible athleticism with slow-mo, replays, and wide shots that let you feel almost every hit. This wasn't just stunt work, it was a full-blown showcase of authentic Muay Thai. Most of the world had never seen this fighting style presented with such brutal precision on the big screen. Ong Bak didn't just introduce Tony Jaa, it introduced Muay Thai to millions. This is the film that put Tony Jaa on the map, and honestly, it's maybe still his best. If you asked for our opinions about this film, it's a raw, revolutionary action flick that redefined what a martial arts movie could be. It's very simple, but also unforgettable. The film is a classic in the genre, and it still works way better than most of the ones made today. Ong Bak 2, The Beginning, 2008. A leap into the past. So if you went into Ong Bak 2 expecting a direct continuation of the first film, you definitely didn't expect what you saw. That's because this sequel isn't really a sequel. It's a prequel set hundreds of years earlier, with different characters, a different time period, basically different everything. Ong Bak 2 throws us all the way back to 15th century Siam during the reign of King Borom Mara Chathirat II. It's not even really a prequel to Ting's story. At the center of it is Tien, a nobleman's son born into privilege, but whose life is shattered before it even begins. His father, Lord Siha Decho, suspects danger is brewing and tries to shield his son by sending him away to study traditional dance under Master Bua in a quiet village. But Tien, he doesn't want to dance, he wants to fight. While the village teaches grace and control, all he can think about is revenge. Still, during this time, he forms a sweet childhood bond with a girl named Pim, who, trust me, will come back into the story later in a big way. But any sense of peace is short-lived. One of Siha Decho's own guards betrays him, and while Tien manages to escape with the help of a loyal servant, his family is slaughtered in a brutal ambush by the corrupt royal commander, Lord Rajasena, and a masked assassin whose identity remains hidden for now. Tien's escape does not exactly lead to freedom, though. He's hunted through the jungle, captured by slave traders, and nearly fed to a crocodile just for resisting. But right when things look hopeless, a group of outlaw warriors known as the Fa Bi Krut storms in. Their leader, a fierce fighter named Chir Nang, notices the fire in Tien's eyes and the way he fights back, even against impossible odds. He saves him from the crocodile pit and brings him into the clan, and that's where Tien's real transformation begins. Chir Nang trains him not just in Muay Thai, but in a fusion of fighting styles, swordplay, animal combat, acrobatics, and even the dance moves he once hated, now turned into something deadly. The village oracle declares that Tien is destined for greatness. After a brutal series of initiation trials, he earns his place among the warriors. Chir Nang even adopts him as his son and heir, setting him up to one day lead the entire group. But Tien isn't done with the past. Years later, stronger and more lethal than ever, he hunts down the slave traders who once tortured him and throws their leader into the same crocodile pit he was nearly killed in. From there, it's full-on vengeance mode. He makes a blood oath to destroy Rajasena, and with Chir Nang's blessing, he infiltrates the royal court disguised as a traditional Khan dancer. The plan goes smoothly, especially after he spots a now-grown Pim performing at the palace, and Tien seizes the moment to attack. It looks like he kills Rajasena right there in front of the entire court. Mission complete, right? Well, not even close. When Tien returns to the village, it's completely empty. No celebration, just silence, and then chaos. He's ambushed by masked assassins, one after another, in a jaw-dropping fight sequence that eventually involves an elephant charging through the battlefield. But even with all of his skills, Tien is pushed past his limit by a mysterious new enemy, Budi Sangha, also known as Crow Ghost. This guy is no joke. He defeats Tien and strips him of his elephant like a trophy, and then the truth is revealed. Rajasena isn't dead. The attack failed because the man was wearing hidden armor, and there's something even worse. The masked assassin who helped slaughter Tien's father was Chernang, the same man who raised him. Turns out, Chernang cut a deal with Rajasena to spare his warriors, and now he's ordered to finish what he started. What follows is a heartbreaking duel between father and son, mentor and student. Chernang pins Tien down, tells him he's proud of him, and then uses Tien's own blade to slit his own throat in sacrifice. It's brutal, it's emotional, and it leaves Tien broken. Rajasena, ever the sadist, orders Tien to be slowly tortured to death. And that's where the story should end, but it doesn't. As Tien lies beaten and bloodied, a voiceover tells us he's suffering because of past karma, but he's not done yet. Somehow, some way, he will find a way back. The film closes on an ambiguous, almost mythic image. Tien, now bearded and weathered, stands before the Ong Bak statue. Whether it's real, symbolic, or a glimpse into the next chapter, we'll have to wait and see. Calling Ong Bak 2 a sequel is kind of misleading. This film doesn't pick up where the first one left off. It drops the whole sacred statue stolen by Bangkok thugs plot and instead launches us straight into a historical epic set in 15th century Siam. The gritty urban vibe of the first film is gone. This one leans into legend. It's bigger, darker, and moodier. There are layers of mysticism here that make it almost feel like a martial arts fairy tale, complete with oracles, prophecies, masks, and warriors. You're not watching a street fight anymore. Tony Jaa turns Ong Bak 2 into a full-blown martial arts showcase. You still get Muay Boran, the ancient form of Muay Thai, but it is now fused with swordplay, grappling, animal movements, dance, and acrobatics. The choreography is insane. Tien doesn't just beat people up, he fights with rhythm. The scale is way larger too. The runtime stretches longer, the story aims higher, and the tone gets way more serious. And look, that's not a bad thing, but it is a major shift from the first film's energy. Ong Bak 2 came out 5 years later, and by this point, Jaa wasn't just the star, he had serious pull. His fame had skyrocketed, and with that came the creative control to not only headline the sequel, but direct it too. And on paper, that sounded epic, but in reality, it kinda spiraled. During production, deep in the jungles of Thailand, Jaa reportedly walked off set. The pressure of wearing all the hats, actor, director, stunt coordinator, and even helping to secure funding, it was too much. And honestly, you can feel that chaos in the final product. The movie is a lot more serious, a lot more ambitious, and a lot more uneven. This film gave us some of Jaa's most jaw-dropping stunt work to date, including that absolutely bonkers scene where he backflips off the face of a charging elephant like it's nothing. And while Jaa clearly wanted to follow in Bruce Lee's footsteps and establish himself as an actor, the truth is, Ong Bak 2 shines brightest when it channels the energy of the first film, when it's fast, brutal, and unrelenting, not when it slows down to deliver spiritual monologues and moral complexity. But it's still a bold and ambitious movie, and when the fists start to fly and the elephants start charging, Ong Bak 2 reminds you exactly why Tony Jaa became a legend. Not everyone will love the tonal shift, but you can't deny the craft on display. Ong Bak 3, 2010, Redemption or Overreach. So when we last saw Tien, he was broken, defeated, betrayed, and left to die. Ong Bak 3 picks up right where the second film left off and then drags him even deeper. Rajasena's soldiers drag Tien out and beat him half to death. When he dares to fight back, they make it even worse, snapping his elbows and knees, breaking the very weapons that once made him unstoppable. While Tien suffers in chains, things start getting weird elsewhere. The village of Kanakon is suddenly plagued by a strange creeping curse. People falling ill, animals dying, crops withering. Master Bua, the monk from Tien's past, believes it's not just bad luck, but something spiritual. And at the center of it all is Buri Sangha, the masked mystic who handed Tien his last humiliating defeat. Realizing that brute force won't be enough, Master Bua takes a vow and becomes a monk, beginning a pilgrimage to cleanse the darkness. Rajasena is cracking under the weight of his sins. Haunted by visions of the former king, the one he poisoned to steal the throne, he starts to unravel. When Buri appears in his palace like a ghost, Rajasena, desperate, begs him to lift the curse. Buri hints that Tien is still part of the prophecy and then vanishes. Now paranoid, Rajasena orders Tien's execution, but before the blade can fall, a royal messenger from Ayutthaya shows up with a shocking pardon. Tien is taken to Kanakon to be healed, and Rajasena is absolutely furious. Believing there's a traitor in his ranks, his ministers send assassins to intercept Tien, but the messengers sacrifice themselves so the warrior can reach safety. Back in the the village, Tien is alive, but barely. His body is mangled, his spirit is shattered, and even after days of rituals, his limbs remain useless. One night, overcome by hopelessness, he tries to end it all, but Master Bua intervenes, reminding him that the light is never far, even in total darkness. That pain, that suffering, they're all part of the path. And from then on begins Tien's rebirth. He crawls, literally, to a temple, dragging his broken body to salvation. Through meditation, self-discipline, and sheer will, he starts to heal. He rebuilds himself, and when Pim, his childhood friend, returns, they share a moment of peace in the form of a ritual dance. But this isn't just a reunion, it lights a new fire in Tien. Inspired by Bua's teachings, he develops an entirely new fighting style, one that merges martial arts with the grace and flow of dance. It's not just about rage anymore. On the other side, Rajasena, desperate to shake off the curse, travels to Booty's ruined castle. But Booty reveals the truth. The curse is on him. He'd been playing Rajasena the whole time, using him like a puppet. And now that he was done, he slaughters Rajasena and claims the throne for himself. But before dying, Rajasena throws out one last curse, passing the cycle of suffering on to Booty. Just as it was passed on to him, Booty, now finally unleashed, begins enslaving villagers and drinking the blood of elephants to absorb their power. He sends his men to wipe out Kanakon, but Tien stops them, only to discover that the village has already been destroyed. Everyone left has been taken to Booty's palace, now twisted into a temple of death. Tien returns to Master Bua, who tells him that he's not just a fighter anymore, he's a symbol who has been chosen to drive out ignorance. And so, Tien goes towards his final battle. He confronts Booty, who is more monster than man at this point. Booty reveals that he feeds on Tien's anger and grief, and then, just to make it personal, he kills Pim right in front of him. Tien is full of rage and starts fighting with all of it, tearing through Booty's guards with brutal efficiency. But in his fury, he falls right into Booty's trap. The man impales him with a spear. Tien collapses. He seems to be dying, but then he remembers the teachings, and in that moment, an illusion shatters. Pim isn't dead. The battle hasn't truly happened yet. It was all a test, an illusion born from Booty's manipulation of fear and suffering. And now, Tien sees clearly. Booty attacks again, but this time, Tien is ready, and when the strike is thrown again, Tien doesn't dodge, he catches it with his bare hands. The final showdown takes place high above the palace arena. In a poetic moment of justice, Tien hoists Booty into the air and drops him right onto the tusk of a raging elephant. The broken tusk impales him, and the elephant lifts its trunk up triumphantly. In the final scene, peace returns. Tien, Pim, and the remaining villagers gather before the Ong Bak statue, bowing in reverence. So let's be real. After the explosive brutality of Part 1 and the ambitious reinvention of Part 2, Ong Bak 3 kinda stumbles across the finish line. It had all of the issues that the second one did when it came to filmmaking. After Tony Jaa couldn't handle the project himself, Panarit Krai was brought in, who then decided the film would be split into two parts. The biggest issue is how it trades in the raw, bone-cracking realism the franchise was built on for a whole lot of CGI and spiritual symbolism. Now, we're all for evolution and deeper themes, but Ong Bak made its name on real stunts. Ong Bak 2 built a grounded, gritty world. Yes, it had some mythic energy, but it never crossed the line into full-on fantasy. It was all about survival, revenge, and legacy. Then Part 3 comes in, and suddenly we have dark smoke spirits invading people's bodies, monks casting curses, and Booty flying around like a horror movie villain on wires. Now, if Ong Bak 2 had fully established this supernatural stuff from the start, maybe this wouldn't feel so off, but it didn't. It hinted at mysticism, sure, but not like this. So, when Part 3 starts changing the rules of the world, it feels jarring. The grounded realism of elbows and swords clashes hard with the sudden mystical energy blasts. It's like watching two movies that don't quite belong together. Then there's the handling of characters, specifically Rajasena. The guy had been built up as this big bad over two films, and then he's taken out in a blink. No epic showdown, just done. Same with the Fa-Bi Kroot crew, the outlaw warriors who basically raised Tien in Part 2. Here, they're wiped out off-screen or forgotten entirely. Leaves you wondering what the point of all that build-up was. There's a real feeling that Ong Bak 3 had the pieces for something powerful, but somewhere between rewrites, production delays, and shifting tone, the emotional through line got lost. And that's the shame of it, because this could have been a legendary conclusion. Instead, it ends up feeling like a fascinating but flawed epilogue to a saga that deserved better closure. There's ambition here, and even some beauty, but the magic of the action that the other films had is mostly gone. Ong Bak's lasting legacy: how one film reshaped action cinema. The release of Ong Bak significantly contributed to the popularity of Muay Thai globally. Prior to Ong Bak, Muay Thai was a relatively unknown martial art outside of Thailand. Up until that point, most Western audiences thought martial arts meant karate, kung fu, and maybe a bit of taekwondo. Those styles had already dominated Hollywood for decades, but Ong Bak came and suddenly Muay Thai was on everyone's radar. And it wasn't just a cool new fighting style. What made Ong Bak so special wasn't that it introduced Muay Thai to the world, but also that it showed what made it different. The hits felt heavier, the movements were sharper, it was raw, full-contact combat that didn't look like anything else we were seeing at the time. And once people saw it, they were hooked. Gyms around the world started filling up with students wanting to learn Muay Thai, turning what had once been a mostly regional discipline into a global phenomenon. But it wasn't just the fighting style, it was how the movie captured it in a realistic way. This gave the film a kind of energy that set it apart from the action films dominating the early 2000s, which were way more into wires and effects when it came to showing action. Tony Jaa's performance wasn't just impressive, it was a game changer. Here was a guy that did every stunt himself, taking real falls, flipping through fire, and landing every kick with precision. That commitment to physical storytelling put him in the same conversations as Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, and for good reason. It also helped put Thai cinema on the international map and opened the door for other Southeast Asian talents to get noticed. And beyond all the knees to the face and backflips off elephants, Ong Bak gave us an honest look into Thai culture. The film didn't just entertain, it gave audiences a look into rural village life, the traditional values of these people, and their deep spiritual roots. This cultural depth gave international viewers a window into Thailand's heritage. This film is one that broke boundaries. Ong Bak might not be the most famous name in the martial arts genre, but it is one of the most important. It pushed the limits of what a martial arts movie could look like. It didn't just introduce a new style, it expanded the genre's entire vocabulary. Whether it was the spotlight it gave to Muay Thai or the way it changed how fight scenes were filmed, Ong Bak's influence goes a long way in this genre. What's next for the Ong Bak franchise? Is there more to come? Now, this is a question fans have been asking for years. Will we ever get an Ong Bak 4? Or maybe a reboot, a spin-off, anything at all? Well, let's just say that door isn't exactly closed, but there have been no openings either. Over the years, there have been whispers, the occasional headline teasing a possible continuation or reboot, but there have been no official announcements regarding this, just pure speculation. A big part of this comes down to Tony Jaa himself. After Ong Bak blew up, he didn't just stick to one lane. The guy went international. Furious 7, XXX, Return of Xander Cage, Monster Hunter. He's been busy branching out and exploring a wide range of action roles. He's not just chasing the same thing anymore. And honestly, when you've done 3 films of the same kind, sometimes you just want to try something new instead. That said, there's still plenty of potential left in the franchise. Imagine this, Ong Bak 4 set in modern-day Bangkok, back to the gritty, no CGI roots that made the original so powerful. Real stunts, no wires. Or maybe we take a different path, focus on a side character, or uncover another sacred relic with a whole new story. The world of Ong Bak has always had this mystical edge. It could easily expand the lore without repeating the same thing. Another new take could be a collab with the West, maybe a blend of Muay Thai with some modern Western action trends. The crossover would be interesting to watch, but while nothing is confirmed, the spirit of Ong Bak is still present. All it would take is one good idea to bring it back, and wouldn't it be cool if someone pulled that off? Marvelous verdict! Well, with that, guys, we've come to the end of yet another marvelous video. With what you've heard of the franchise, it doesn't really seem like the average martial arts films that we've come across, right? For those of you who have never seen these movies, we hope this video inspires you to go take a look at them. We're sure fans of the genre will truly enjoy them. Now, we want to hear from you. Which Ong Bak film is your favorite? And do you think we'll ever get an Ong Bak 4, or should the series rest in peace as a completed trilogy? Also, if you could bring it back, how would you? What storyline do you want the film to have? Would it be a spin-off, a sequel, a reboot, or maybe even Tony Jaa mentoring a new generation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed watching this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more like this. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.